Hey folks, how are you today? Rick Gauthier here. I'm a Canadian author. I'm the author of the Little Ricky short stories, and I'm welcoming you today to my YouTube channel. I'm hoping that you'll enjoy this new Reading with Ricky episode. I am, as I said, a Canadian author. I live here in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm writing short stories, not for myself to become a famous and rich author, but to be able to use my talent in writing and telling stories to give back to society. Every time I sell a story, and I sell on Amazon.ca, the Canadian version of Amazon, and of course through Kobo.com for audiobooks. And whenever I sell a book and whenever you buy a book from me, all of the royalties, every penny I earn goes directly to a food bank here in Toronto. My ultimate goal is to make enough money someday to give money to all the food banks across Canada, but I have to start small here in my own city. So if you support me, you definitely, whenever you spend money on me buying one of my heartwarming short stories, you'll also be helping the poor people here in Toronto to buy food at the food bank, because the money from my books goes directly to that food bank so they can have food. So again, like I said, I'm an author and I have a couple of collections on the go. My first collection that I wrote was Little Ricky, the Boy from Otter Lake. Little Ricky, the Boy from Otter Lake is the collection that I first put out a couple of years ago, and it has 12 heartwarming short stories within this collection. Just last year in 2025, in the spring of this year, 2025, I also put out recently the sequels, Little Ricky, the Boy from Otter Lake, the sequels. And this collection is now equally available on Amazon and Kobo. My second collection that I put together aged my main character, my protagonist, Little Ricky, and he became a teenager, and he started living life as a teen, and he was experiencing all those different life stages as a teenager. So that second collection that I have out, and it is available, is called Little Ricky, the Lad from Otter Lake, Adolescent Adventures. So this is available also on Amazon and on Kobo. This collection, because the stories were so big and so interesting, it had to be broken into two parts. So it's sold in two parts. Part one contains the first 6 stories in the collection, and part 2 contains the second 6 stories. All of my collections will ultimately always have 12 stories, 12 short stories in each collection. I'm writing right now, and I've started last year, writing a new collection called Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. And presently, I'm happy to say that I have 4 stories put together. 3 of them are published and available through Kobo.com and Amazon.ca. Today, in the Reading with Ricky episode, I want to focus on my first short story in that collection, and it is called Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. Cancer hurts when the father's teachings touch the son. Very, very beautiful story of when a young man moves from the country town, which he knew and beloved after the death of his father. He moves to the big city, and he quickly learns what city life is all about. Of course, he keeps his ties to his hometown, because that little hometown of Otter Lake is so special to this character. And so this collection will involve the growing up of a young adult and all the things that we have to experience as we're going through life at that age of that tender age of between late teens, so 18 to say 30 years old. So basically, this is my new collection. It's the first story in my new collection, Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. And today's Reading with Ricky is going to focus on this short story. Hope you'll stick around and enjoy how this story begins. I'll be right back. Hey folks, thanks for hanging in there. Listen, I'm right back, and I'm going to start a new Reading with Ricky, again from the first story of my third collection called Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. So basically, here's the cover, the back cover, a little bit of description about the story, and a little bit about me as an author, a Canadian author here. And let's flip through here, and we'll have a quick look at the artwork inside. And here's some of the artwork that I have. So this artwork basically displays the journey of Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. So let's have a peek here and see how the story goes. Story number 1, Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. Cancer hurts when the father's teachings touch the son. All right, let's see how it all begins. Let's go through the description, or the little teaser for this story, this very first story in Little Ricky, the Young Man from Otter Lake. Cancer's touch leaves deep scars, but the memories it leaves behind can offer solace amidst the pain. Since birth, Cyril affectionately dubbed his premature son Little Ricky, unknowingly imparting valuable lessons that would shape Ricky's life. After Cyril's sudden passing, Ricky, now a young man, ventures to the bustling city of Ottawa. Despite always being prepared for anything, Ricky quickly realizes that there are challenges ahead. Fortunately, with the steadfast support of his friend and mentor, Laura, Ricky draws upon his father's teachings to overcome the obstacles and emerges victorious. Thus, the boy from Otter Lake transforms to a resilient man, carrying with him the enduring legacy of his father's wisdom. Hang in, I'll be right back. All right, so let's have a look at how this story starts. The evening was calm. Just before sunset, the earlier persistent spring rain began to recede. However, the showers that had soaked the day, even at this late hour, left the streets and sidewalks dotted with cool little puddles of water. Though dusk was now quickly moving across the city, including the streets around the Ottawa Civic Hospital, several dozen people, it seemed, still moved speedily to and from the facility, as if it were still midday. About 10 minutes after descending the 85 OC Transpo Britannia-bound bus and rushing to enter the hospital, Ricky finally arrived at the closed heavy wooden door building on the 5th floor oncology ward of its east wing. A well-scripted sign on the door warned, "Do not enter unless medical gowns, latex gloves, and surgical masks are worn." Ricky heeded the warning and as such, looked to his left and spotted the familiar cart parked adjacent to the door. This trolley was heaped with, as usual, all the things a visitor needed to wear in order to visit a patient. The lad moved unhurriedly toward the cart and then dressed himself in a lemon yellow gown, blue latex gloves, and a baby blue surgical mask. In an instant, he rapped at the door. When there was no answer, he slowly pushed the heavy door open and went inside. In the bed that flanked the window, he found his father, Cyril, whose chest was raising and falling as he breathed in and out of a gentle sleep. Ricky moved toward the bed and gently grasped his father's hand, squeezed it softly and whispered, "Hello, Dad. I'm sorry that I'm so late. It took me forever to cross the city due to the rain. It seems like the city slows to a snail's pace when it rains." Ricky's eyes welled with tears as he looked down at his father's sunken, grayish-toned face. Cyril, now awake, slowly turned his head and forced his eyes to open. He tried to cough but seemed not to have the energy to do so. Instead, he swallowed, licked his drying lips, and then, in a weak, muffled voice, mouthed, "Hello, Ricky. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your visits." Cyril pulled his other arm out from under the bed covers, grabbed the side rail of his bed, and tried to hoist himself up into a sitting position. Upon realizing his father needed help, Ricky moved forward to assist his dad sit up and gently placed his hands under his father's back and shoulders. Ricky then grabbed and placed Cyril's pillows behind his dad's back for support. Once comfortable, Cyril turned to Ricky, forced a weak smile, and asked, "Tell me, son, what is today's news?" Ricky smiled, tried to force himself not to cry. His eyes nonetheless dampened. Not wanting his dad to see his tears streaking down his face, Ricky turned away and grasped at the chair not too far away from the bed. He dragged it close to the bed, and as he did, it made a squawky, screechy sound as its legs rubbed against the polished tiled floors. After sitting and wiping his eyes with the back of his sleeve, Ricky cleared his throat and responded, "Well, Dad, I just came from visiting Chris the General. He's okay. He's mixed up tonight, but he did tell me that he loved you." Cyril smiled upon having the news of his second eldest son, Christopher. Cyril closed his eyes and murmured, "That makes me happy." Ricky reached out and touched his father's shoulder softly and continued, "I had news from home in Otter Lake last night. I spoke with Mom. She said to tell you that everyone is getting along well and that they miss you, and that your recent chemo and radiation treatments should help you feel stronger. Mom spoke with your doctor yesterday, and she says your treatment will help slow your cancer. Mom and the rest will expect to drive to Ottawa to visit you this upcoming weekend." Cyril opened his eyes and turned slightly to look at his youngest son, Ricky. He raised a tissue-filled hand to wipe his tears that were engulfing his eyes, and he replied, "That's good, my boy. It'll be nice to see them all." "I'm worried about them, Ricky. I'm hoping that they'll get along fine." "I'm not so worried about you. You are strong-willed, and you'll get along just fine. I'm proud of you, my son." that is one of the last conversations between father and son. I hope you enjoyed this reading with Ricky. It's something that I enjoyed creating. It was a very touching story. It is a fictional story, but it's based on my own relationship with my father when my father died of bone cancer many, many years ago. So again, this is Little Ricky, the young man from Otter Lake. It is Cancer Hurts, but when the father's teachings touched the son. It is the first story in my third collection, and hopefully you enjoy this reading. So if you are liking my readings with Ricky and enjoying my YouTube channel, please feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. They really give me joy whenever you leave me comments. Give me a thumbs up. A thumbs up always boosts my profile a little bit. And if you want to get notified about my new upcoming videos on my YouTube channel, subscribe. Please subscribe to my channel. And of course, click that bell, and that way you'll get notified when I upload new videos. Anyway, wishing you all a very happy day. I hope that you enjoyed this Reading with Ricky episode today. Thank you. Bye-bye.